Welcome to the nacc experience.
Welcome to the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. This podcast is an extension of Never Alone Christian Center and has been specifically designed to make faith transparent and relevant to everyday life. What's up? What's going on, good people? Happy Friday and welcome to the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. I'm your host, Pastor K. I certainly hope you guys have had a great week. It has been a nice week here in the Baltimore area, and I am always, as normal, excited to share something with you guys tonight. And we're going to continue moving along with our podcast that we began. I love him, but he's lazy. And tonight we're going to wrap up my portion talking in reference to the perspective from a man. And next week, you guessed it, my wife, Mrs. Wiley, is going to come on and she's going to share the perspective from a wife standpoint on when you have a wife that may be lazy and how you can transition that as a husband or as the spouse and speak to your wife that maybe she's not doing her part around the home or her part in the relationship. So she's going to bring her insight and we're going to have nice dialogue back and forth, and we're excited for that. But for this week, we're going to continue to roll through what we began last week. I gave you guys two principles out of the book that I wrote on 10 principles to effective communication. We barely talk anymore. And not only that, I gave you guys an opportunity to go on Amazon and download the book. And I went through and I looked and I saw that several of you have taken advantage of that or took advantage of that. And purchased or downloaded the free ebook on Amazon. And I hope that you have read it and applied the principles and beginning to apply the principles. Tonight, we're going to cover two more of those principles on effective communication. Because when we talk about the husband in the home or the spouse or the man in your life, or you're seeking to have that husband or that man in your life and they're lazy, you have to know how to communicate. Because when it comes down at the end of the road, it's about how am I communicating and how can I break this down to explain to him that he has to carry more of his weight around the home or with the children or whatever the case may be, that there is some show of being lazy, okay? Now, in this episode, we'll cover two more principles. We'll bring my wife on next week. And just for a recap, I'll give you the last two principles that we did last week. But before we do that, thank you guys for continuing to share. Thank you guys for continuing to follow and like and subscribe to the podcast and checking us out on Instagram, at nacc Media, Facebook, and YouTube. We are sincerely thankful at nacc, and I, as Pastor K, I am overwhelmed and I'm humbled by you guys' continual faithfulness to what we're trying to do and being transparent. With that said, thank you for your questions, okay? And thank you for your concerns and your DMs and your messages. And I try my best to go through and I try to respond to each and every one of you all. Drop a heart, drop a like, or whatever the case may be, because I want you to know that as your pastor, I'm engaged with you on your social platform, and I care about what's happening in your family, how you're raising your children, what awards your kids are winning, and all those type of things. I'm excited about those things, and I just love to take part in that with you so that I'm personable with you. So with that said, I want to read one of the questions that was sent, and I want to give a response. Again, anytime you submit a question to us, it is anonymous. The only person that will read it will be myself or possibly my wife. And I do my best to give you a response, a spiritual response and a natural response. And I try to do it transparent so that it can not only help your individual situation, but it can help others who may be going through similar situations, okay? So the top question, or the question here is, I had a talk with my husband. Things got better, but now they are starting to lack again. What now? Let me read it one more time. I had a talk with my husband. Things got better, but now they're beginning to become lax again or relaxed again. So what do I do now? Now, that's a great question, because what happens is, as we have said early on, you have this conversation with your spouse, and then they realize, you know what, I haven't been doing my part, and I want to participate. I want to be a part of of helping you out around the house and helping you with the kids. I want to be engaged, and you're right, I have been sitting on these games too long and I haven't been engaged. So they start to take up a role in the house. They start to do more than what they have done prior to what they were doing. And then all of a sudden that lasts 1 day, maybe 2 days, 3 days, and then it becomes very relaxed, and then it kind of goes back to where it was. And you have to understand that when someone is lazy or someone is not participating in things, it's just like a diet, it's just like a workout or whatever the case may be. There has to be a level of consistency that takes place, and that takes time. Okay, so if you ask him to help you clean the house on Sunday, and he cleans the house on Monday, and then he gets relaxed Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe picks it up on Friday, you have to continue to work with your spouse, work with them as they grow into this process of helping and being a part, because if they haven't been a part for some years now or for some months, then they have to develop that part of the relationship, and they have to develop that muscle in the relationship, if you will, and that takes time. So do you have to have a full-fledged conversation every time? Or, well, look, now you're back doing the things the way you used to do them. Now you're not helping out. What's the point of having this conversation? That's not how we handle it. Okay? It's okay to give what I call gentle reminders. It's okay to give what I call gentle text. It's okay to give what I call gentle nudges. What are those? Those are soft reminders of where he may have slipped, and you want to nudge him along to encourage him to get back in the pace or get back in the routine. Okay, so if you had to talk with your spouse and things got better and then they started to relax a little bit, take your time. You have to work through the process. This is not going to become an overnight change in his life. Okay, if they're lazy and they relax in what they do, it's not going to shift overnight. You have to be patient, and you have to be kind-hearted with what we say and how we say it. Okay, so I certainly hope that helped you with your particular question. Okay, so last week, again, right out of the book, last week we gave 2 principles. And the reason I wrote this book in 2016, we barely talk anymore, 10 effective principles of communication, because there was a time in my marriage where we were going through some things and our communication wasn't above par. Okay, and that is one of our strong areas. So when we lost that level of communication, it was very difficult for me, and I believe this book was birthed out of that. And these 10 principles are things that I used personally to apply to our marriage to help us get back to the status that we needed to get through, okay? So understand that I'm only giving you something that I've used for myself. So last week we said, the first principle we said, effective communication is my responsibility. Okay, let's look at that real quick. Keep in mind, effective communication is the responsibility of yourself, okay? We have to look in the mirror and we have to say, am I doing my part to communicate? Am I communicating in love? Am I communicating with joy? Am I waiting till he just worked a 40-hour work week, 50-hour work week? He's coming home, he's exhausted. Am I using that as an opportunity to berate him and to tear him down and to say, you haven't done this, and this? And he's not going to receive. I'm just going to be honest with you. Now, it just is what it is. If that hasn't worked, then why continue to do it? If something doesn't work, why continue to do it? You have to shift and change, okay? So it's the responsibility. All of us have a responsibility in our relationship, whether it be with your children being lazy, with your spouse being lazy, because we said we love them. We love our spouse. We love our children. Whatever the case may be, of someone that you love that's being lazy, you have to understand the effective communication is our responsibility to do it properly and not to do it out of anger and not to do it out of self-motivation. We want to do it to help move along the situation so that everybody can be on the same page and you can get done what it is that you're trying to get done. Okay? The second thing we said, and I want to get into these other 2 principles tonight because I'm excited, okay? Listen. We said effective communication should build my relationship or our relationship and not destroy it. That's what we said last week. Those are the 2 things we said. We've made it very simple. What we say and how we say it determines how he will respond, or for that matter, how she will respond. What we say and how we say it determines how he will respond. The goal is to communicate to build the relationship, not destroy it. You cannot expect your husband, your man, your spouse, or whatever he may be, to do what it is that you're asking him to do if you're tearing him down. That's not going to work. Men have to feel needed. Men like to feel needed and feel like they are a part and they are connected. Okay? Bring them in, make them a part, make them connected. Okay? Help him with whatever it is you want him to do. Don't just assign the task or the chore. Help him along and show him that together we can get it done faster if we work together. Okay? All right, so let's get into what we want to talk about tonight. If you want to get more in depth with those previous principles, check out the podcast. You can hit it on the Anchor app. You can check it out on the website, neveralonecc.org. Okay, as well it's on YouTube. There's a playlist for the Faith Unbuttoned podcast on YouTube. All right, so tonight, let's look at this principle here. Now, again, I'm not giving you guys all these principles. The book is available on Amazon. I think the Kindle was $2.99 because it's no longer free. All right. So tonight, the first thing we want to say is effective communication can be hindered by external influences. Let me say it one more time. Effective communication can be hindered by external influences. Let me just read this paragraph to you. This paragraph says, there's nothing more disheartening than watching a healthy relationship destroyed by others. How often do you and your spouse truly solve your own problems together? Have you ever thought about where some of your spouse's decisions come from? Perhaps your husband calls his parents before making a decision, or maybe your wife calls her parents. Could it be possible your spouse reaches out to a best friend for advice, or do you really know? Okay, so this here is effective communication takes place when we stop allowing external influences affect our communication. Now, I know we're talking about I love him, but he's lazy. But the whole purpose behind getting him to stop being lazy is being able to effectively communicate with him. So in order to effectively communicate with your spouse, we have to stop listening to the outside noise, okay? There's nothing wrong with getting advice. There's nothing wrong with self-help books and all those type of things and podcasts like this. There's nothing wrong with those things, okay? But it should not be the primary source of your solvability for your problems. Your problems within your relationship should be solved amongst the two of you guys. After all, that's why you guys got together, okay? So if you are trying to get a man to do a task, like clean the house, help out with the kids, do the yard work, or help the kids with the schoolwork, whatever it is, get off the video games, cook dinner, whatever you're trying to get him to do, you have to be able to effectively communicate with him. And you can't do that if everything that's taking place that's influencing the relationship is an external influence. Let me give you some examples here, okay? Now, an external influence, these are influences that exist on the outside of the relationship. They can consist of a person or a source that has the ability to communicate verbally or non-verbally, typically a family member, close friend, social media, television, or reading material. These influences, when used negatively, sway our judgment. Why can't you communicate with your husband? Why can't you get him to get off the games, to get off the couch, to cook, or to do what it is? Why can't you do that? What other external influences has his attention? Is it social media? Is it TV? Is it a family member? Or is it a friend? What else has his attention? Because if you can't effectively communicate with the person that you love, somebody has his attention, and you have to find out what that is so that you can get down to the bottom of helping him not be lazy. But you have to be able to communicate with him. You have to be able to communicate with him. So what am I saying? You got to know what's externally, what's on the outside, or what external influences, are affecting you all's communication. Telling all your friends and your parents that your husband is lazy is not going to fix him being lazy. Now all they're going to do is judge him every time they see him. Every time they come to the house and it's filthy, or every time they see the kids, or every time they see him out or see y'all out, they're going to know that the relationship is a facade and it's not really what it is, because you done told everybody that your husband is lazy. Stop talking to other people about your spouse. He's your spouse. You love them. You all got married. You all in a relationship. Instead of talking about him, fix him and help him develop to become the man that you want him to be. Stop telling everybody that he's lazy and help him. Okay? I'm not fussing, because listen, it's like I say all the time. My wife and I, our relationship is just, I love it. It hasn't always been the best. It has its ups and downs, so stop. We're transparent, okay? But when it's great, it's great. But you know why? Because we communicate. We talk to each other, okay? So that's the third principle I wanted to give you guys tonight, okay? I'm going to give it to you one more time, and we'll go to this next one. Effective communication can be hindered by external influences. Stop posting all your drama. Stop getting into these chat rooms and talking. What's the new one going on? The Clubhouse. I'm familiar with it. I haven't tapped into it on that level yet, but don't get into these Clubhouses and start talking about your spouse. Okay? Because he may be lazy to you, but somebody else will take your lazy spouse if you keep talking about him. So stop talking about him, and let's help my kings. Let's help them, okay? All right. What's the second thing here? Now, listen. If you have questions or concerns, like we had this question here, drop me a DM on Instagram or on Facebook, hit me a messenger, or go to the website and send an email. Okay? I want to make sure that I address any issues that you have. Now, I can't address everything, but anything you send, I will address it. I may not dedicate an entire podcast to it, but I will address it. Because whatever needs to be done to help make your relationship better, to advance the level of communication, to help him not be lazy, to help him shift his work ethic in the home, listen, I'm here for it. I'm here for it, okay? All right, let's look at this fourth one here. Okay. All right. Effective communication requires pillow talk. Listen, pillow talk. Now, being married, my wife and I take pride, especially early on when we were married, when we didn't have the children, and I wasn't working crazy hours, she wasn't working crazy hours, we wasn't so busy. Pillow talk was when we handled our problems. We talked about our week. We talked about our day. Don't look too deep into this. When I say pillow talk, that's exactly what I mean. We going to bed and we laying on our pillows and we talking. Because when we first got married, we didn't have a TV in our room. Okay? Now, I'm not for that nor against it. I'm just telling you what we did. We didn't have a TV in our room. So we always would talk, we called it pillow talk. And during that time, pillow talk, we would address our problems, our situations, our issues. And why was that good? Because it set a mood and an environment where we could talk about life's issues. So we're dealing with, I love him, but he's lazy. That is a life issue. It's affecting the relationship because now you're tired of it. And you may say, well, isn't it better just to not say anything and just do it so that we can have peace? Well, you have to say, well, yes, peace is good in the home, but you have to ask yourself the question, how long can you live like that? How long can you live just doing everything, knowing he's lazy, you coming home, watching him on the couch, on his phone, doing whatever he does? How long are you going to accept that before you become angry, upset, and bitter? And then that transition to, God, did you really bless me with this man because I feel like I deserve better? I'm a queen. He claimed he a king, but I feel like I'm the indentured servant in the household. Okay? How long can you live like that? So the answer to your question is, shouldn't I just move on just for peace? Eventually, you'll get tired of doing that. Just address it. Effective communication requires pillow talk. Now, what is pillow talk? Now, I said, look, it's simple as hanging out on the pillow in your room, or you can call it couch talk, whatever you want to call it, and having a conversation. Because that's what this is all about. Most problems in relationships are because of a lack of communication. Problems in the bedroom, communication. Problems with raising the kids, communication. Problem with the money, communications. Problem with household chores, communications. Problems with family members, communication. Problem with the neighbors, communications. Problem with your car being dirty, problem with your car coming home on E, and all those type of things that take place. All that comes down to communication. You have to communicate. Okay? Pillow talk. What does pillow talk? What does it do? Pillow talk does what it does is, first of all, it allows you to make time for one another. Because when you have pillow talk, what you're doing is you're making time for one another. And if you don't make time for one another, then things will never change. You have to make time for one another. The second thing pillow talk allows you to have a quiet and a comfortable spot. That's what pillow talk does. It allows you to have a quiet and comfortable, I can't get that word tonight, spot. It eliminates the noise. It eliminates the things taking place around you. The kids are asleep, the lights are down, it's pillow talk time, okay? Things to keep in mind. Keep the pillow talk fun. Nothing too serious. Don't make it so serious that you guys end up getting into an argument and then going to bed mad. That's not the purpose here. The purpose is to create an environment that's relaxed so you guys can talk, discuss the issues. I need your help around the house. I need this, whatever the case may be. Because this is pillow talk. Keep it fun though. Keep it relaxed. What do we say? How you say it and the tones that you say it in, or what you say and how you say it determines how he responds. The fourth thing, talk about everything. Don't be afraid to open up. After all, this is your spouse. If you can't open up to him about this small matter, then how do you expect to open up to him about larger matters? If you guys are just dating, and now obviously, the sidebar. Let's look at the Christian side here, okay? If you're married, the pillow talk is good to go because you guys are sleeping together in the same room. If you're not married, biblically speaking, no, you shouldn't be sleeping together having pillow talk. Again, as I always say, I'm a realist. I understand people are, as we grew up, are shacking up, okay? I'm beyond that. I want you to develop a relationship and move towards marriage, absolutely, okay? So let me just say that. But if that's not where you're at yet, pillow talk is still available, okay? Talk about everything. Don't be afraid to open up. After all, it is your spouse. Remain judgment-free. Don't stop judging one another. Come on, spouses and married couples, come on. Stop judging one another. Help each other. Help each other out. Help my kings, queens, help them out. Remain judgment-free. And the sixth thing here, listen carefully to your spouse. Wives, you guys have a way of talking to us as husbands. You can gain anything you want to know about your man if you listen carefully. Men sometimes don't say a whole lot of words, but if you listen carefully to what they're saying, you will reveal, or many things will be revealed unto you by listening. Women love to talk. Let's just face it. You guys love to talk. And for every 1,000 words you give, a man says 10. All 10 of those words that man said are everything that your 1,000 words meant. We just condense things down. Okay? Listen carefully to your spouse. And lastly, at the end of the conversation, or in each conversation with I love you, or some form of endearment. Some form of endearment. Okay? So these are the two principles that I'm giving you guys tonight for communication. I love him, but he's lazy. Over the last 3 weeks, I've given you guys these principles to help with communication. Okay? I hope they're helping you. I hope they're developing your relationship. And keep in mind, be patient. Be patient with my men. Be patient with my kings. Okay? They're not going to change overnight. They're not going to shift overnight. And like I said, if there are areas in that he's struggling with, help him out. Remind him that you love him. If you always remind him that you love him, you can get anything done. And don't only say it with your words. Say it with your actions. Your actions demonstrated to him that you love him go so much further sometimes than your words. But a lot of times, we think that men don't like to hear "I love," that you love them. They do. We do. I do. I love to hear my wife say that I love you. Okay? And, I may not get all googly eyes, and I may not, be blushed up and all that type of stuff. But down on the inside, every man likes to know that they're loved. Because society puts so much pressure on us, and we like to know that we're loved. Okay? So listen, if you like this podcast, you enjoy this particular podcast, drop me a DM, drop me a message. Let me know. I look forward to reading you guys' comments and responding to you all. Because I love you guys and I want to help you guys. And that's why the Faith Unbuttoned podcast was created, to keep faith transparent and to make it realistic to everyday life. Don't forget, next week, I'm bringing on my queen, my wonderful wife, Miss Chiffon Wiley, and we're going to talk about lazy wives. All right. We're going to get right to it, and we're going to discuss from a female's perspective what to do if your wife isn't doing her part. And we're going to get to it. All right. I love you guys. Tap in with me throughout the week. We got a message coming up this weekend on Saturday. Detour Ahead, what I called it, Detour Ahead. And basically the message is centered around, we have been in the traffic of the enemy far too long. God is offering us a detour. And we need to take the detour and get out of the traffic of the enemy. Listen, tap in. It's going to be a mini sermon on Saturday, because we're still operating in our phase 1 of our soft launch. So I wanted to drop a mini sermon. All right. I'll check in with you guys next Friday. Have a good one.